Good evening, folks. I'm Robert Wood, owner and lead smith at Serendipity Forge. Put together a little video today. Tried to do a quick one this morning just so I could maybe share a little more ideas with y'all out there. Spent the rest of the day doing leather work. When you're a knife maker, leather work becomes a necessary evil. I don't enjoy it, but I do it, and sometimes I even get it right. So if you'd like some videos on leather work in the future, let us know in the comment section. But I did get to do just a little something out of the forge this morning. Made this. This is what's made on today's video. Good little gift. Don't forget that Valentine's Day is coming up. So if you've got a wife, your mother, your daughter, somebody special that might like something handmade for Valentine's Day, and you've got a way to get it hot and hit it hard, this is all you need. And I hope you enjoy our video. If you like it, subscribe, leave us a little comment in the comments section. Let us know if you have any ideas for future content, and we'll try to keep being informative and maybe just a little bit entertaining. Have a blessed night. Enjoy the video. Okay, our starting stock today is just a little scrap piece of 1/8 by 1/2 inch. And I don't know, it's probably 10 inches long or so. And that's what we're going to use for the little project. And you can see I've got a line scribed. So what we're going to do is chisel that line and split that stock. And right now I'm working cold, and I'm just chiseling the line in. Want to make sure it's deep enough that I can see it to hit it when the steel is hot. And while the steel's heating up, just wipe off the face of the anvil and put my cutting table up there. That's just that's something I welded up about 1/2 inch mild steel. I use it sometimes when I need a flat surface on the anvil because my old anvil is suede, or if I need a really sharp corner. And I use it for chiseling because you don't ever want to chisel on the face of your anvil. That is a bad idea. You'll either mess up the chisel or mess up the face of your anvil. So it's hot now. And since I've pre-chiseled my lines, I can see where I need to chisel. And I'm just going to start following that line. Got to overlap your chisel marks. And I measured that to be split about 2.5 inches along the length of the stock. I'm just taking my time, not in any hurry. You can see how fast that steel cools because it's so small. Oh, drop forged. Not much mass to hold heat. And second heat. And like I said, I'm not in any hurry. I want to make sure I follow my lines. I've got plenty of heat, and well, I don't have plenty of time, but I'm going to take plenty of time. And by the way, the chisel, yeah, that's a Harbor Freight special. Works just fine. Every now and then you may have to reheat treat it, but not this time. And again. Now normally, I'd be cooling that chisel off after every few blows, but that thin stock has so little mass, there's not much chance of overheating the chisel. So we'll just have at it. You can see it's pretty well split. All the way back up to the end. There we go. Now we've got our stock back in the fire, we'll get rid of the cutting table and get ready for the next process. Now I'm going to go about things backwards from the way a lot of people do. I've got my split made in the back that I'm eventually going to forge out into the heart. Well, I want to keep that end together just because it's easier to hold in the tongs. So I'll just tap everything together and even it back up and heat the other end. Now I've got the other end warm from the split, and I'm just going to start working that out, drawing it out into a point. Working the four sides, never letting it spread too much without knocking it back flat. I want a nice even taper. I want kind of a long taper here. And you can see how that works. It's thin stuff, and even though that's a great big hammer, just because I was too lazy to go find my smaller hammer, I'm managing just fine by using light blows. Second heat, still drawing it out, trying to keep it even, trying to make that taper nice and smooth. It's getting there. That steel really cools fast. It's cold outside, the anvil's cold, and that stock is very thin, so it doesn't keep much thermal energy. But it's okay, it's mild steel. I can tickle around a little bit on it after it's down below a good forging temperature, and it won't hurt a thing. And one more time. Still want that taper a little longer. Now there's no rules about that. I'm just doing what kind of looks right to me. And that's the great thing about free forging. Just make up your own mind as you go along. When you decide it looks right, it's right. And since I decided that it looks right, it's time to spread our split open and start working on the heart end. So I put my hardy cutter in there, and I'm going to use that to spread the split end open. It's very thin stuff, so this is easy. Not even a matter of really hammering it down on there, and I can use the hardy cutter to spread it. Get my bend started. Just kind of square things back up a little bit and make sure to move that hardy cutter so I don't lose a finger when I come back to the anvil. Heat it back up. Now that I've got it warm, here's a great place to use those scrolling tongs I made in the last video. And I'm gonna knock the split down. I'm just squaring everything up right now. There was a ragged edge from the chisel, and that has to be hammered back down flat. That should be nice and square. Back in the fire. This thin stock really heats up fast now. Now I want to draw that end down to a tapered point, keeping it square, taking my time because it's really thin. And when you're heating steel this thin, you got to be really careful too, or you'll burn it in a heartbeat. When it's this thin, it goes from too cold to way too hot in the blink of an eye. So that side satisfies me, so I'm using the scrolling tongs. And one of these days I'll get my camera operator back since I can't see what I'm showing you. And bend the first side back and bend the other side straight so I can work on it. Now I'm just going to repeat the process on that side. knock down the ragged edge and square everything up. There we go. One more heat and draw it out to a point. Tap this out to a point. Draw it out. Try to draw it out the same length as the other one. So I have two matching sides. Yeah, not bad. Now we'll heat it up and just straighten everything back out. And there's those scrolling tongs from the last video. Yeah, I'm glad I finally made those. Glad I finally got that kit from Ken's Custom Iron and made those. I can see they're going to come in really handy. I'm still going to leave it spread a little bit. Try to even it out, even the way the forks are spread. And in the next step, we'll go to the horn of the anvil. I do believe. Now this is kind of a fiddly bit. Take your time when you get to this point. No need to be in a rush. Work the two sides till they look symmetrical symmetrical enough to satisfy your eye. When you're making something like this, it's all in what you think's okay. It's all in the eye of the beholder. And now we're over at the horn. Use the horn of the anvil and work each side of the fork around the horn. This cold, thin stuff is tough to get it right. Stuff loses heat so fast it's ridiculous. Well, you just tickle it around till it suits your eye. I promise, Smiths 100 years ago weren't so much worried about how beautiful something looked as they were about how well it worked. Yeah, since we're used to seeing everything machine made, run off an assembly line, parts matching, we're kind of conditioned that things need to look perfect. And that's not always the case. I wouldn't turn out a handmade item that looked like a sloppy piece of junk. But when it's good enough, it's good enough. After all, it's handmade. It shouldn't look like it came off an assembly line. It shouldn't be all perfect and down to the thousandth of the inch and polished and shined and look like it was cut out in a computer-controlled operation in some factory. I'm telling you, working these hooks like this to make the heart, this is something you can fiddle with all day long. They do need to be at least semi-symmetrical. Pretty close there. Not going to do much more here. It's looking pretty good. Yep, good enough to go back to the flat of the anvil. So we're going to start working on our hook end now. Make our little scroll on the tip of the hook. Almost dropped it again. Just tapped it over. Make sure it's lined up right. Yep. Well, not bad. Not bad. Back in the heat. Now I could work it over the horn of the anvil, but I've got a lot of leather work to do and I'm running short on time, so I'll use my little bending jig. Cool off the scroll on the tip, and around the bending jig she goes. Not bad. Get rid of the jig. Just tap it a little bit and make sure everything's lined up. Looking pretty good. Pretty good. Can't complain about that at all. Almost done with this one. Well, pretty much the only thing left to do is put a hole in it so it can be mounted to the wall. I'm not gonna bore you with drilling a hole, so just make a center mark, and that's where I'll put a 3/16 hole so this can be mounted to the wall. And there we go, finished up. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe.